Are we hot?
We have a hot mic now. Yes,
Good.
we do.
Good. I probably smell like horse right now.
Yeah, probably. You were
I
at
got
a horse
hair
stable,
all
man.
over me.
I don't want one single horsehair on. Are you kidding
I'm going
me?
to leave it all over this house.
Are you kidding me?
You're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, what is this?
You're just giving extra work for Jimmy, man. I'm sorry, Jimmy.
Jimmy's been demoted to the house cleaner.
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor dude.
1 week he's on top of the world. The next week
He's the house
we find something wrong with his
we gotta
work.
get a little bell. Speaking of house cleaning, I want to throw this out there real quick because this might sound a little bougie, but this is really quick. So I don't know if I told you about this, but I started getting my laundry done through an app called SudShare. And they come to your house, pick up your laundry, take it, clean it, fold it, press it, bring it back within 24 hours. It's $1 a pound.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many pounds are you giving them?
Well, it's only my laundry. So me and Amanda have an agreement because I was so bad for so many years because she would do my laundry and I just let it pile up and never put it away.
Did you just buy extra clothes when the time was...
Yeah, I got to that point.
Yeah.
So we have an agreement now and it's been going really well, that I do my own laundry. I help put the girls away and help with that, but I just do my own laundry.
Wow.
But
So really you're not doing your own laundry. You're having someone else do it.
Now I'm not.
but
We just found this
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
You'll have to let me know how it's going. in
Unbelievable.
A month from now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about $30. It's about $30 a pop, but twice a month.
Will they? You said fold your
I'm
clothes?
telling you,
Yeah.
this is like if you had a maid, like live-in maid for like 30 years that knew like exactly how you wanted it, like folded perfectly, like scented right, because you got to put in all your details.
Nice.
I'm telling you, it's a slam dunk.
What's the name of the company?
SudShare.
SudShare.
I'll show you the app later. Yeah.
Hey, SudShare. We're looking for a new sponsor.
Shout out SudShare. You guys are changing my life for the better.
Dude, you are just a walking advertisement for these companies. They should be reaching out to you, thanking you.
Well, I only use stuff I like. You know what I mean?
Well, for sure, that's how it should be.
I only put effort. Like I only do stuff that's I'm legitimately like this is fantastic. For
Why
me.
back a brand that you don't fully believe in?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go ahead and kick things off. Welcome back all to another episode of Unscripted Exchanges. I am your co-host /host /media production guy /janitor /whatever Cole tells me to do. And we've got, of course, Mr. Cole Hazenfield.
Hey, thank you. I'm your co-host Cole Hazenfield.
So, Cole, I wanted to dive back into the topic of health, but this time I want to stay more so focused on like physical health and nutrition. I know last time we talked about mental health, which was really nice to kind of open up to the audience. I know we both shared our thoughts on anxiety, fight or flight, but again, this time around, I want us to stay a little bit more focused on the physical side as well as kind of the food that we choose to put into our bodies and just overall thoughts around nutrition.
Yeah, so I like that. I think we mentioned we were going to go into this week for this episode, and I think it's a big part. You know, you break your health down, and you've got your mental, you got your physical, and then for a lot of people you get your spiritual. But today we're going to talk about physical, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be kind of neat, Hayden, if we broke it down into kind of two segments.
Sure.
One being based around like nutrition, like like some things that we've learned, some things that we practice, maybe some stuff we've heard, based around like what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, drinking, that sort of thing. And then also like on the physical side of exercise, like exercise routines that you found that work, different workout stuff like that. So I think there's kind of two facets that we could get into.
For sure. Let's go ahead and rip off that Band-Aid, bro.
Okay, let's do it. So I can get started if you can. You tell me.
Fire away, man.
All right. So I've got something that's top of mind. So recently, I've done this before in the past, Hayden. I've done it's what's called. I did it about 2 years ago. My wife and I were like, we want to do a reset. So reset of our body, right? So what we're putting into it, like kind of just like flush out the inflammatory foods, the inflammatory stuff, the sugar, kind of get our body back to the right balance. So we did what was called a 30-day healthy living challenge, which was really cool. We actually have a friend of ours that is she's a
Dietitian?
yeah, she's just like her and her husband, Heath, actually. She's Heath's her husband.
Shout out to Heath.
Shout out Heath, who runs. So she actually was like, she works for a company called Arbonne, and she's like, she talked to us about it, and she's done the program before, and she's very, very nutritionally sound, and just, I mean, very, very good shape, and just very good about that stuff. So we're like, okay, like we'll try it. So we did 30 days, and it was a program that was basically 2 meal replacements a day. So you've got 2 vegan protein shakes a day, breakfast and for lunch. Then you're not allowed to eat like any simple carbs. You can have complex carbs, like a little bit like here and there. No added sugar, no added caffeine. There was just like, red meat once a week, a lot of lean protein. So it's 30 days to basically get your body like reset, get your metabolism back up and running, your digestive system on track. So I recently, after doing that full program, you got to buy a full kit. So you've got your protein powder, then you've got your fiber powder you put in your protein shakes, and you've got your probiotics that you put in. So you've got this huge kit. So I was like, I'm not really going to commit to buying this huge kit. We bought some more protein powder. So I'm like, I want to do my own version of it that's not as extreme, but something that, going into the summer and just doing a little bit of a reset. So I recently started doing my own version that I think can last longer term of a reset, which is, the vegan protein shakes, the no added sugar, limiting myself to, one caffeine drink a day with no sugar in it. So it's like really it's just a black coffee. Drinking more water, and then not eating a bunch of simple carbs, which we can get into like what simple carbs are versus complex carbs. And then like, lean protein additives like nuts, almonds, almond butter, stuff like that. You can eat a lot of good healthy stuff that is also like a lot of good tasting stuff that is very healthy for you. So that's what I'm doing recently. And that's kind of what I wanted to share.
I love it. I will piggyback onto some of that. I think the first thing that I want to share with anyone listening is everyone's nutrition journey is different, and there's millions of different diets out there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's probably a new one every day. I would caution people to not jump on the latest trend. However, it can be tempting at times. I know there's really good marketing out there that can tell you that this is the best diet ever. Breaking news, no one's discovered this. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, more times than not, it's probably something that's not going to be good for your body. At least it's not sustainable or healthy. So want to at least acknowledge, people recognizing that there are many, many diets out there, but there's probably only, a few that are actually sustainable and truly healthy for humans. The other thing to recognize is each human being has a different biological or chemical makeup. And I don't even know all the details that go into that, but that's where, you do speak with like a dietitian, or you just do some online homework or research. So wanted to kind of just preface things with that before kind of sharing my current, nutrition plan. But before I get into those details, I kind of want to bring people along on this journey of like where I started out and kind of where I am today. I'm sure there's very few people that really care, but I'm going to go ahead and dive into it.
No, don't say that, because I think, as you get into that, I want to just reiterate those points you made before you jump into that, because I think that story's pretty awesome. I mean, some of the stuff I'm even picking up now is just things that you've rubbed off on me from just from the time like we got back together a couple months ago and kind of rekindled our friendship and this partnership. I think your point about I really love the point about like the diet stuff, like those fads and those diets that are out there, because I think the biggest thing, and even when I said, I'm doing my own version of this 30-day, this reset, I'm doing that because I know what's like that 30. I want something that's like sustainable and that's what's good for me, right? And a lot of those diets and stuff that are out there, like, yeah, great, go lose your weight in 6 months, but if it's not teaching you like how to practice like healthy habits and healthy eating habits, if it's just like, great, yeah, you can get 3 meals a day sent to you in the mail. That's great. But are you learning like what's nutritious, what's not nutritious, what's good, what's not good? Because if you're not learning that, then once you decide, hey, I can do it on my own, you really haven't gotten anywhere. I mean, you might have lost some weight, but I think that's just a really good point to make, is that it's really like anything else. It's different for everybody. So I just want to like, reaffirm that point, that there's no right or wrong way to, and I think the word diet is,
there might be a right or wrong way though.
Well, but
I know I'm
not for everybody, right? What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. What's good for you, for your nutrition, might be different for me, right? To an extent.
Valid, yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent. Like you're training for a marathon. So how many calories are you eating and putting into your body?
Right.
For your diet.
Right. No, I got you.
Me, that's not running 10 miles a day.
But I guess where I'm coming from is, I'm sure, I don't know one off the top of my head, but, and I probably shouldn't say this then if I don't have an example, but I'm going to anyways. There's probably a diet that exists out there, or did, that people preached was amazing, but it's bad no matter who you are.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
Like it was just bad across the board. Like
you shouldn't eat for 24 hours. Like, I mean, yeah, you can, but like there's a lot that you can pick apart with that.
You're like, there's one out there that like it was bad
across the board. Yeah.
So I agree with that. So I want to hear your story, because I think sounds really, really intriguing and interesting, because I know you know a lot about not only nutrition, but like just the stuff you put in your body. You've made a lot of deliberate choices, and created habits. So kind of, we break it down for us.
Yeah. So I think where I first started, which I think a lot of people can relate to this, when you're young, you don't think much about food. When you're hungry, you just put whatever into your body, and you want, some type of variety, because you don't want to be eating the same thing over and over again, or at least I guess that's my experience growing up. If I was hungry, I'm going to go into the pantry and grab a Pop-Tart or a little Chewy bar. But over the years, I started to look into, okay, how is this food benefiting my body? Like, am I noticing any different types of, mood swings or increases or decreases in energy based on like what I am eating throughout the day. So again, that's kind of like where I started out for like the first, I'd say 18-ish years or so of my life. And I guess really the first couple of years, mom and dad were the ones taking care of me. So I can't really say what I was putting into my body. I'd like to think that they were putting the right formula into my diet. But anyhow, growing up, I think, again, it was always, I need something to eat because I'm just hungry. I know I'm kind of just repeating myself there, but the go-to was, I'm going to go have a bowl of cereal in the morning and then head off to school. But the time at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it varied, rolled around, I would start to get like a sugar crash or a low.
Right, you start getting tired.
Yeah, and it's because, not fully, but I was loading up on sugar. If it was, these really high sugar-filled cereals. You got Captain Crunch, you got Lucky Charms.
Dude, how good is Reese's Puffs?
Reese's Puffs
are so good.
Right.
The amount of sugar is like astronomical.
Exactly. So like learning that, dumping a whole bunch of sugar into your body is not very good. You got to know when to put sugar into your body, and you don't want to put too much added sugar into your diet as well. But sticking on this specific example, I would get very tired around 9 or 10 a.m. And that's because, I was putting all this sugar into my body. And then I started to realize there are better foods to be putting into my system to kind of help me not have that crash. And again, it really started with watching how much sugar that I was putting into my body in a given day. So that's kind of like the first thing that I kind of keyed in on, is the amount of sugar content. Go ahead. It looked like you're about to jump in.
I know I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you're so like you're in your first phase was the sugar, right?
Yeah.
So for our listeners and for me, I'm still learning about like added sugar versus like what's like already got sugar. Like what's the like how did you know what I mean? Like what did you?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm not going to act like I know. I mean, my understanding of added sugar means that it's sugar that is maybe not necessarily natural and it's added to whatever you're consuming. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it is also natural sugar, but it's
not part. It's not part of that food. Like it's been added in as an additive,
right?
Like high fructose corn syrups, like in everything,
right. Like strawberries, like your fruits, those all have natural sugar.
That was going to be my next question: is how did you like what kind of foods would you say have like the good sugar, right? The stuff that's already like included sugars. You still want to watch that, but you're saying like fruits and stuff like that.
Well, first off, sugar is good. Now it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. Sugar helps you have energy. You just don't want to have too much sugar because it's going to make your brain and your system just like crash.
Right.
So yeah, going back to your question there, like what fruits are good or have healthy amount of sugar? Again, this is more so opinion, but your oranges, your apples, your bananas, like those are all good fruits to consume because they have just natural sugar.
Right.
Now you want to probably stay away from like some of those more, and I'm still sticking to like the morning regimen or breakfast types of food. You want to stay away from probably, and again, this is going to be debatable, but like foods such as, again, Pop-Tarts, stay away from those, even though they claim that they're strawberry filled or something like that, or blueberry filled. Like, yeah, that's not completely accurate. Lots of added sugar there. Toaster strudels, definitely stay away from those. But again, the reason why I'm saying stay away from those, because like I'm choosing to live a lifestyle that I want to live. Someone else might be fine with consuming those foods. So I guess another thing that I should have started with is it depends on like what you're doing. As you mentioned, like I like to be very active. I'm running a lot. So like I have to replenish my body with the right foods. If someone's not, living that type of lifestyle, it might be all right to eat some of those foods, at least from time to time.
Right.
So
not on a regular basis though.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to also call out, I guess it really just depends on the lifestyle that you're living, because that can also determine the volume of food you're eating. As you mentioned, with me running, I need to make sure that I am putting all the calories that I just burnt off in a long run back into my system, or I'll end up most likely losing weight.
Right, and losing muscle.
Yeah, and that too. So it's important to kind of make sure that I'm not at a caloric deficit, I believe is the fancy way of saying that.
Less fancy.
I need to make sure that I am at least replenishing with the same amount of calories, if not more. And that's where I guess people like count their macros, and I don't do that, and I don't know enough about it.
Right, neither do I.
But the point being, like, if you're trying to lose weight, I guess like the old saying is like try to ballpark how many calories you're consuming, because if you're consuming, I think the daily average
2,000.
Yeah, for a female, I think.
No, it's like 2,000 or 2,500 for men and female.
I thought it varied.
I don't know.
And I'm sure there's different ranges based on your size and your height, but I think a female technically has a little bit different versus a male.
Okay.
Biologically speaking, but anyhow, yeah, let's just go with 2,000 calories.
Right.
Like if you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, you probably want to maybe cut down a little bit. I mean, I'm no doctor or dietitian, but I think it's important to maybe cut back a little bit for sure on those calories, but also recognizing that not all calories are equal.
Boom.
Like eating, a bowl of cereal is not going to be as nutritious as eating, eggs and a banana. So recognizing that, not all foods are equal.
Well, your body processes it different.
Well, that too.
Your body processes that stuff differently. Like, and it's going to have different levels of how your body digests it, where it uses that stuff. Like, processed foods, your body's not digesting a lot of the stuff that's extra, like processed and use a lot of preservatives.
Mm-hmm.
Your digestive system is not equipped to deal with all that extra stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's going, and this is the way I've understood it, it's just to add on to that. It's like taking a big ball and shaking it up, and then going, okay, now reach in there blind and figure out what you need. Like, you might be able to pick a couple of the stuff out, but a lot of the stuff that you actually do need, you won't find.
Right.
And you're just flushing out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So when you eat the right stuff, your body's able to go, okay, there's my vitamin B, there's my vitamin C, there's my my protein, there's this, and your body can digest it better and use it better. So just to that point, I think you're spot on. It's like, not all calories are created equal, but also not all foods are created equal, and your body's going to react to them differently.
Totally. Yeah. Well said. And again, going back to, it depends on like what your lifestyle is. If you're a person like me that's running on average, let's say 30 miles a week, like, I'm going to be eating a lot more food probably than someone that's, more so sedentary, or not,
Right.
physically active or as active. So yeah, just again, recognizing like where you are in your life with, what activities am I doing on a weekly basis? What do I want to do? Am I trying to lose weight? Am I trying to gain muscle? That will kind of determine the types of food that you're putting into your weekly meals, how often you want to be eating. So there's definitely a lot of variables, I guess, is what I'm getting at, that kind of help determine like where you want to go.
So what's your take on like healthy intake of protein? Because I know there's like a lot of like mixed opinions about this, right? Like,
Yeah.
have a lot of protein, don't have a lot of protein, right? So my question would be on like that, and then meal planning. Like, what's your take on meal planning? Like, do you meal plan?
So I would love to get into meal planning. I have not consistently done so. I mean, I've tried it for a couple of periods of time, but I would like to get back into that. So yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to speak on that, but I think it's, definitely something worth doing.
I've tried it too.
Yeah. Now the biggest downside to that people say is like, you're prepping this meal, and let's say, something pops up where you end up like eating out, and like sometimes you could end up wasting the food, or like you get tired if it's the same meal over and over again, which again, those kind of like excuses, but at the same time, they're kind of valid ones.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think meal prepping is fine. What was the other question?
I don't remember. I was just thinking I don't meal prep either. I was like,
yeah.
We were both saying, I do know this. I did read this article that said meal prep, like if you're gonna like the perfect meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of these, like I try to educate myself. I don't always practice it. I try to educate myself. And the perfect meal contains like a sugar, like some type of sugar, but and not an added sugar, like something for energy, right?
Yep.
A complex carbohydrate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a protein. No. Natural carbs are like converted into sugar, so it's a complex carbohydrate. It's some type of like natural grain, and then a protein. And if you have those three, like in your food, whatever you're eating, like that's like a well balanced meal.
Sure.
And so I read this article, then I'm thinking to myself, you mentioned earlier how like you were talking about how your parents were like when you were younger, your parents prepared your food. And my wife the other day goes, we were talking about like eating healthier and stuff. She goes, and I was like, well, she said something about Ava, and she's like, I was like, you realize Ava eats healthier than both of us? Because we make all her meals. Like, we'll make sure that she has like a vegetable, like a fruit, and like something else for every single meal. And like we're just like, okay, who wants Chipotle, or like what do we want to get burgers for tonight? Right. But Ava, out of everyone in our house, like whenever we make her food, she's the one that's got the most balanced. Like, no wonder she's like, I'm always energetic. I'm like, she's got the most balanced diet out of all of us, because we're force feeding her like vegetables, fruits, and she doesn't always like it.
Sure.
But Anyways, I digress.
I remember the other part of your question. You were talking about my thoughts on protein and how much to consume. At least I think that's what it was.
Yeah, just like I feel. So it's a question I've asked is like, what's the right amount of protein, and like, what's your opinion on? I don't know if you do take like protein, like do protein drinks, and do you have a favorite?
Yeah, so I mean, to answer that question, there's no right or wrong answer. Again,
I want your opinion though.
Yeah, I know. I do take protein, or yeah. I don't do it every day.
Okay.
I take typically whey protein, and sometimes it's also plant based. Again, I don't know all the details. I guess I am somewhat hypocritical here, kind of jumping onto like a later trend around plant-based, and again there's pros and cons probably to the plant-based diet or protein, but yeah, I would say that on a daily basis on average I'm consuming probably half my body weight in ounces in protein, if that makes sense. So to do simple math, let's say I weighed 100 pounds, which I don't weigh 100 pounds, I would be consuming like 50
You're definitely
ounces.
a buck 65.
That's probably a pretty good guess, but I think I'm a little bit more than that. Yeah.
You're lean protein yourself.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
So you're consuming like, so you're saying like if you were 100 pounds, 50 ounces.
Correct.
50.
Yeah, 50 ounces of protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's also for your lifestyle too.
Correct.
Like you're running so much, you want to make sure you're replenishing that and building the muscle, not losing.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go out and act like I know how much to tell someone that's not as active. I think again, you got to kind of play around with your diet too to see how your body reacts. Like again, your mood, how are you feeling, and then you can really start to hone in. Like try having a food diary for like even 48 hours. Track everything that you're putting into your body. Recognize, how am I feeling? Am I tired? Am I angry? Am I moody? Things like that. What did I eat today? Did I have a bowl of cereal, or did I end up making scrambled eggs? Did I end up eating potato chips, or, did I end up snacking on almonds or walnuts?
Right.
Things like that.
I did do a FODS map. There was this map I did. You can look up, I have to remember what it was called. But I think to that point, what I did for a while is because I got to the point, I used to know like what to eat, right? Like I used to know like what was healthy, like innately, just back in high school and even starting college, and I just knew like, okay, what was healthy, I didn't have to think about it. Yep. Then I got this like period of just like not thinking, like eating anything and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And just getting things when I was on the go, and then I got into that period of like, there was a gray area, like, okay, this might be healthy, or this is healthy enough,
right?
And that's not necessarily bad or good, but this is a Nutrient bar, it must be healthy. This is a Nature Valley bar, it must be healthy because Nature Valley is healthy, right? That sort of thing. And what I did when I did that 30 days, it actually went online, and it was called like a FODS map. I have to look at I think that's the name of it. But it was a pyramid, and it had different, like, it wasn't a food group thing. It was like a pyramid with different snacks you can eat that are healthy.
Yep.
Right, here's your proteins, here's your carbs, here's fruits and all this stuff. And I literally like took a picture on my phone, and I put it as my background for like 2 weeks. So I'd look at my phone, and I'd be like, okay, this I can have this, all right. And so it made it an easy way to remember like what was healthy that I could grab, what was not healthy, which helped me. Like I had to relearn what you could and couldn't eat, right? Like I'm so busy that I don't have the pleasure, the luxury of just having these meals every single day. When you're in high school and even in college, when you don't have kids, you don't have a full job, you can, okay, I'm going to go have this every single day. I'm going to go have this every single day. You start forgetting what is actually like. So I would suggest, like, you can even do Google searches, like 20 healthy snacks, and like take a picture of it and then save it as your background, or print it out, put it on your wall. Make it super easy to not have to be a genius to eat healthy.
Dude, that's an awesome recommendation for sure. That just helps reinforce like what you want to put into your body.
Well, and two, even at that point, following up on that is you've made a good point of mentioning how important it is that everybody's body's different, right? Your needs are different than my needs. There's definitely a diet out there that sucks for everybody.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Right.
There's one out there, probably a few. But I would say to our listeners, you can do is let's be real with ourselves. When you eat something that's good for you, you feel good. Your body processes it right. You feel more energetic. When you eat something that's shitty for you, you feel shitty.
Yep.
Okay? You go to Skyline, and you pound a 4-way with 2 cheese conies, and you drink a Diet Coke or a Coke, you're going to feel like, I want to go pass out and die. Because your body's... Like, I don't care who you are.
That's what I ate before my last marathon run.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not saying it's every single time.
Yeah. No,
But I'm saying, like, you feel different.
Yep.
Than if you go have, sit at home and you make a turkey burger with roasted vegetables. Your body's turkey burgers, lean meat, protein, vegetables are unprocessed. So again, I think those are easy. Like, let's be real with ourselves, listeners, and I'm real with myself. Like, when you eat something that's good for you, also something had not dawned on me. I was buying all these protein bars. So I'm going on a tangent. Then we can kind of get into like workouts and stuff, but it is so easy to convince yourself that a little protein bar or a Nature Valley bar or a granola bar are like healthy for you or healthy snacks, but they're not. Let's not kid ourselves. Protein bars are in place primarily. Most protein bars are there to be a meal replacement. They're not there to be a snack in between meals. Like, they're there because they have sugar in them. They've got carbohydrates. They've got protein. Like, they got a little bar that's packed with 400 calories and 30 grams of protein. Okay, you don't need to, like, if you're eating that, if you're trying to lose weight, let's say you're going, I'm going to lose weight, so I need more protein. Well, that's a meal replacement. That's not a have 5 of these a day because they're healthy. So it's just something I've picked up on too, because I would always grab protein bars or grab this or that, and I didn't realize that, like, those are great in certain circumstances, but little things like that can really dampen or hinder any nutritional goals you have, because it's tough not to think about.
For sure. Yeah, I think if you were to summarize what Cole and I have talked about over the last 20 or so minutes, each person needs to understand what diet is right for them, what they should be putting into their body. There are some consistencies across the board, though, watching the amount of sugar you're probably putting into your body, trying to remove a lot of that added sugar, as we mentioned. Another thing which I didn't really get into, I think sodium is also something to keep an eye on. But you could also, have someone out there that's telling you that sodium is not that big of a deal. Again, there's always going to be people out there debating things. And one other thing that I'll leave people with before we jump into like more of the activity or physical fitness side of things is real food typically has a shorter shelf life. So kind of keep that in mind. If it's not that healthy, like if the food that you have inside your house has a really long shelf life, it's probably not that healthy.
Right.
Or at least it's not. Let me backtrack. It doesn't have that many nutrients. It's not, what am I looking for here? Nutrient dense, I guess, is the buzzword.
Right, and it's also got a lot of preservatives, right?
Yeah, exactly. So just something to keep in mind.
That's a really good tip, actually. That's a really good point.
Yeah. So the other thing that we wanted to touch on, and I think these things, I know they go hand in hand. There's a strong correlation, is not only is it good to kind of understand what the right diet is for yourself, but what's the amount of physical activity that I should be doing? Is that important? because not everything is solely around the amount of food you eat or what kind of food you eat, but also like what you're doing throughout a given day or a given week. And at the same time, it's not all about, working out. You got to make sure that you're putting the right food back into your system to refuel. So I'll kind of kick things off here, Cole, in terms of like, where are you in your physical fitness journey? Like, I know you were a big football star back in high school. You were definitely probably working out, I'd say, even 2 times a day. And how did you get into weightlifting? Like, any tips that you would give to anyone that's not sure about what I should be doing to start, or if they just really don't know what to do if they go into like a gym? Any just personal opinions or advice that you'd give someone?
Well, first of all, I'd say I was in a lot better shape. I'm getting back there. I'm on a mission. So I'm on a revenge tour to get back into better shape. I'm making it there. But no, I would say that if you're thinking about it, or if you are spending time in the gym, or just trying to go, okay, like, how do I balance my time? You gotta realize what part of your life you're in. So when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, even 20, even up to the time I was like 21, I had all that time, right?
Yep.
So my mission, right, my goal, I didn't have a full-time job.
Yep.
I was a high school student at first.
Yep.
I was training to play college football, ended up tearing my hamstring my senior year, and didn't end up doing that. Also,
told you we were going to be talking about hammies, by the way.
Yeah, dude, I tore it in half. But really, at that time of my life, time literally wasn't an issue, right? Mm-hmm. I'd get off school, or I'd get off out of class, and I'd have 2.5 hours. I had the rest of the day to kill. Mm-hmm. So I could spend 2 or 2.5 hours. So I could take my sweet time, right? So I could go, okay, I'm going to hit 17 back workouts. I'm going to hit 5 shoulder workouts. I'm going to work on my forearms. I'm going to hit, a light bicep workout, because I know I'm going to hit those hard. I could plan all that stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And I could have individual days for certain muscle groups. So what I'd always do is I'd say, okay, today's going to be shoulders and back, right? So I'm going to hit shoulders and upper back really hard. Then I'm going to do a little bit of core to balance me out. I might do a light jog just to get my blood pumping. But I'd always make sure to hit a couple big muscle groups hard. So if you're thinking about, if you're in high school or college and you got the time, that's the way I would do it, 100%. Also with that, if you're new to working out, I would either go up to the biggest guy in the gym and ask him what he's doing, or not even the biggest guy, like somebody that looks like they're in shape and they know their way around it. Go up and ask him, like, hey, can you show me some workouts if you're new to it? Like, there's no harm in that. That's what people like to help people. Like, don't be shy. You can also go to like a local gym and sign up for one, a personal trainer, and do like a one session with them. Spend the $50 or $60. And they'll go through like a full workout with you. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to learn new workouts and learn how to get into it, that is the best way to do it. Like, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Figure out like what, go have somebody help you do that. You can look stuff up. You can watch some videos on YouTube. The biggest thing is, when you're starting off, if you're starting off and getting into it, is like, don't try to be a superhero. Don't try to go be the biggest, baddest lifter in the room.
Yep.
Remember that form and repetition is going to be one of your best friends when you start off. It's not about the heavy weights. It's about the form you've got. Because if you're doing curls and you're not doing the right form, you're not going to build big biceps. If you're doing shoulder presses and you're not doing the right shoulder press form, you're going to hurt your shoulders, probably hurt your labrum, and mess yourself up. If you're doing tricep extensions and you're not going all the way down, you might as well just be wasting your time. So there's certain things like that, right, that you can learn, and then you just got to practice, and it's repetition, and it's repeating. But if you're early in your career, if early on in your journey to like weightlifting, because that's what I know about, that's what I would suggest doing, is finding somebody that maybe knows a little bit about it, watching some YouTube videos, starting off slow. Don't go in there and try to be a superhero, because if you're just getting into weightlifting, it's going to be very a very tough process to build up your base. Second thing to that point is don't expect to build a base up quickly. Most people, there are some exceptions out there, can build muscle really quickly and look like they've been working out every day of their life.
Steroids?
Yeah, steroids. I mean, we've all met those people, right? You're like, hey, what's your gym routine? I don't work out. You're like, you've got to be kidding me. Like you're that in shape. There's like 1 in 5 million.
Yeah, there's anomalies.
There are anomalies like that. But for the most part, you see somebody that's in great shape, it's because they've been working out for 6, 12, 18 months, 2 years. They consistently 5 days, 4 or 5 days a week. So understand when you're getting into weightlifting and getting into that journey, it's going to take time. And if you're comparing yourself in the mirror every single day, you're going to get really, really upset. You got to take it like a week or a month at a time. How am I going to, here's what I look like at the beginning. And it depends on what goal you have. If you got a goal just to get in better shape, right? You might have a goal because you need to, there's different reasons why you get into it. For the most part, I think people exercise because they want to look good. And they
look good and feel good.
Look good and feel good. I think that's the biggest reason. I think so. That's at the beginning of your journey. Where I'm at in my journey right now is not in that 2.5 hours a day time. I used to be there. Right now, I actually I told you the other night, I'm at this time where I got to just make any time to make it work, right? And
Yep.
so how do you go through that stage of life with exercising and working out where you're like, you can't compare yourself though. You can't compare your time. Like I'm like, oh, I used to work out for 2 hours. I don't have 2 hours workout, nor do I want to work out for 2 hours. Right. I mean, if I'm like, nor do I want to go sit at the gym for 2.5 hours. I don't want to do that. I don't have the time, nor do I have the patience. So how do I get in a routine? Well, I tried to say, okay, I'm going to go 4 days a week at these times. And I just couldn't do it, right? Because something comes up, you got to make a meeting, you got to go pick up a kid, you got whatever it is, and then you start losing, right? Okay, you set this goal for these times 4 days a week, and you've missed 3 of the 4. It's like, well, I suck. Like, I must not want to work out. I must not be motivated. We've talked about that. I must not be motivated. And I told, I say that because understanding where you're at in your life, like, you don't have to be a hero. You can go and say, okay, it makes me feel good. I want to get in a routine. I'm not going to overanalyze it. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. Okay, I got 30 minutes time, here to do it. I can get up a little bit earlier and go. I can go later at night. I can make it work when I can make it work. And so what I'm doing now is I'm saying I want to get to an exercise gym. Like, I'm not saying gym. I want to get exercise that's intentional, not just for me. It's not just going on a hike's great, going outside's great, but 4 days a week of an intentional exercise.
Yep.
For me, whether it's a jog, whether it's going to lift weights, whether it's doing the parkour course at Woodland Mounds is sweet.
Nice.
I don't know if you've done that.
No.
Yeah, they've got like these like agility courses. They've got stairs courses. They've got like 3 pull-up sections all in the woods. And they've got a big loop. They've got monkey bars. They've got those gymnastic rings. It's really cool. So anyways, you got me rolling. But my goal right now is 4 days a week of exercise. Hopefully I covered what you were asking me there.
Well, there was no right or wrong answer. And I think that was a very well-rounded answer. I appreciate everything that you shared there. Lots of good advice, too. I think 2 things that stuck out, just to reinforce your points here to anyone listening, is 1, it takes time in recognizing that up front. And 2, be willing to ask for help, learn from others, and just piggybacking onto that, like if someone came up to me, that would be kind of rewarding. I don't want to talk like I got a big head because I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But yeah, if someone came up to me and said, hey, like, can you share some tips? Like that would be very, rewarding. So yeah, certainly don't be afraid. I mean, you can be afraid, but like go up and try to ask someone like, hey, like, I respect, like, I've seen you in the gym a couple of times. You're really fit. Like, give them a compliment, whether it's a guy or a girl. Like, can you give me some advice? Like, more times than not, people are going to appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I really like that you called that out.
Well, they're going to appreciate it because of, like, look at you, I'm talking to you. You know how much time you're putting into your craft, right?
Yeah.
Your fitness routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be there's nothing big-headed about that.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this.
Right.
You're damn right it feels good to be told, like, yeah, I'm the guy that people are coming to. So people don't mind that. It's just something that, don't be shy.
Yeah, a little extra self-validation is nice here and there. Yeah.
I asked you the other day, I said, like, I was like, when I say I wanted to go over a marathon, you said try for a half.
Yeah, I told you point blank, man. Like, I love your enthusiasm. I love where your mind's at, but like, maybe you start here before you try to go there. But hey, I'm not saying that you couldn't do it. I think it would be, yeah. I don't know.
Speaking to it's realism. Speaking to, like, it doesn't matter if you're a freak athlete or not. I mean, you've trained.
You get humbled very quickly.
Yeah.
And I've been, and just to kind of randomly go off here on a little bit of a tangent, like, running is awesome because, and there's a lot that you could pick apart where running is not great, but running will humble you because no matter how good your run was last time, you got to go back out and do it again. And like, it's you versus you, like, it's one foot after the other. Like, you can have some really shitty runs, or at least I've had some crappy runs, but like, just knowing that, like, I'm here for the journey, like, this is going to be worth it. In the end would be, you know, some of the bigger races that I do. And at the same time, like, I do get a runner's high. Like, it feels good to say that I went out and ran X amount of miles. And by the way, I am not only running, for those people that think that, oh, all he does is run. What I was gonna say. Like, people get all, like, you know, bent out of shape, like, oh, he just runs, like, he doesn't lift weights. Like, no, I actually do both. I guess you could call it cross training, I guess. Not CrossFit, but cross training.
I was gonna actually bring that up. Like, I almost jumped in. I was like, let you finish, because that's something that I didn't know that you had to do when you were like one of the, like, it just never, because I've never tried to run marathons or run long distances.
Yeah.
It's never occurred to me that you had to cross train to do that.
I mean, you don't have to, but I enjoy.
It's pretty. From what I've read, it's pretty critical, though, right? I mean,
well, yeah, right. If you want to be halfway decent or have a halfway decent time, but there are certainly people out there that probably don't necessarily do the lifting weights portion of things.
Why do you do that?
Well, one, I want to look good, and it also feels good too to lift weights. And yeah, no, it helps performance too. Like, having a strong core is going to help with those long distance runs versus, you know, not having a very strong core.
Right.
And even, and this is something that I'm currently working on, it's been a little bit of a weakness, is my lower body.
Your hammies?
Yeah, my hammies, man. My hammies and my quads. So kind of working on my lower body, stretching, and also strengthening my feet and my ankles, working on stuff like that. That goes a long way. So yeah.
How did you? So speaking about, like, so for those of you that don't know, we talk about Hayden training. How many marathons have you done now?
I've only officially done one, so I'm not going to act like I'm a big time runner.
Well, you're in. I mean, what's a big time runner? Just because
valid. I'm backtracking now. Yeah. I shouldn't downplay it.
Yeah, you've done a marathon, and like you're kind of hooked on it, right? I mean, you're competing against yourself. You want to have a better time next time,
right?
And dude. I know. Trust me. Even from being around you for the past couple months, I'm like, holy smokes, man, this dude is dedicated. So I guess. Asking, you know, what is kind of your routine? Like, do you have a set routine? Do you do what feels good? Like, and what are you striving for? Like, how did you get into this?
Yeah, I think each person has their own personal goals or what motivates and drives them.
Right.
I'm not gonna share all those details, but I mean, one, I have just always enjoyed living an active lifestyle. I think it just helps with your overall mental health and physical health. So just staying active has been always important to me. And two, I wanted to kind of take on something that I wasn't so great at doing, being running. Like, I know I've mentioned this on a previous episode, but I only picked up running probably, I'd say 3, maybe 4 years ago. And if you were to tell me like 5, 6 years ago that, oh, you're going to turn into a big runner, I literally would have laughed. I would be like, there's no way. Like, I despised long distance running. But I had the mindset when I started out, and again, as you mentioned, like, don't go out trying to be a superhero like you're going to hurt yourself. Like, I started very, specific with what my goals were at that time. It's all relative. I'm not going to go out and run 20 miles in 1 week. Now I could, but I would probably end up getting injured. Right. But now 20 miles to me this week, we got Siri joining us. 20 miles to me, this point in the journey is not that big of a deal. So just recognizing like where you are and where you need to start. But I wanted to pick up running because, one, it was something that I wasn't great at, and I think it was going to add like other things to my tool belt, as I would say. Like, one, I'm willing to try new things. This can then bleed into other aspects of my life, or just looking back, 10, 20 years from now. Hey, I didn't really know what I was doing with running. I picked this up so I could apply that to maybe starting a new business or making a career change, something like that. And then just the overall mental aspect of, okay, running's, a grind. Like, you're literally just trapped with your thoughts, which, not to make it scary, because it's great, but at times, you can have those like just thoughts where it's like, oh, I don't want to run, but like you literally have to just push through that. And it's amazing to see the body and the mind like overcome some of that. And like, I have that like almost every time I go out running, at least for a little bit, but like, you are finding a way to push through that. That's very rewarding.
You're winning in something today.
Yeah. And that again can be applied to, okay, I'm having a tough day at work. Things aren't going my way. A client's upset with me, or a coworker didn't like how I handled something. Like, okay, you can use that mindset to say, okay, this is only temporary. I can try to find a way to overcome this. So again, just tapping into parallels with running into like my other aspects of life. And one of the other things is running, I knew, was a long-term like plan or goal. There's probably a better way of saying that, but I knew that if I wanted to be successful at running, it was going to take a very, very long time. And like, again, I can apply that to other aspects of my life, such as being a good podcaster or being a good, business owner. Like, it's going to take time. I'm not going to go out and just overnight be a success. So like, this is helping me establish or build a foundation for other things that I want to do in my life. So that's why like I've really enjoyed running, and like I'm already seeing it benefit in other aspects of my life.
Absolutely. You get me fired up, man. Yeah, you're getting fired up. I think the purpose behind it and why you did it is super cool. I would say like really what sticks out to me in that everything you just said is that you understood it was going to take time. Mm-hmm. But no matter what else is going on in your day, like it's a place that you can win. Yep. And this can apply to like running or your time in the gym or anything like that. I think running's it's a very like, because I don't know, you can't go to the gym like, okay, like I win if I did 7 sets of curls. But like in running, it's like I'm gonna run 3, like let's say it's 3 miles. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna run this. No matter what else happened today, I'm gonna finish that 3 miles, right? I'm gonna finish that, and that was a win. Yep. And it sounds like just such a great way to push yourself, to pile up wins, and like to build character, right? You're building character. Like you're pushing through shit that you don't want to. I mean, nobody can tell me, like, especially when you first start off, probably you're always pushing through it. Like the beginning is like you're pushing every single day is pushing through it, right? Because I can tell you, I ran last night, and like 2 miles was pretty relatively. I ran them slow. I think they're like 9:45 miles, but. I had to push. I was still pretty tired. 2 miles. I'm not running a lot, but like doing that every day. Mm-hmm. Holy smokes, man! Like, and so I guess one of the things I want to ask you, and I know we're getting kind of long on time, but I think it's a good thing to ask us. And I've actually asked you this before. Is like, how would you say somebody wants to get into a running routine, right?
Sure.
For any reason, there's a million reasons, but they want to say, okay, I don't care. It's not necessarily, maybe they don't say I want to run a marathon, but they're like, that sounds like something that would be good for me, right?
Sure.
Well, how do you, like, where do you get started? Like, did you start off small and get bigger? Did you follow a plan, or did you just wing it? I mean, what?
Yeah, fantastic question. So to start, I would definitely say I winged it. I just would go out and start with, let's say, a 1 mile run, 3 to 5 times a week on average. So 3 to 5 miles a week. Didn't think much about it. Looking back, like what I did in those early days is I would run like hard each time. And that's something that you don't want to do.
Really?
Like I would go out and run 100% each time. I mean, again, you can do it, but like that's where, people say, oh, running's so bad on your body. Like it can hurt your knees, your joints, etc. And like, if you want to get better in terms of running quicker, longer, like you got to build up the right like cardio. And I don't know all the fancy terms. I'm still learning. Like there's a lot out there, but you don't want to be running 100% every single time. Like you need to understand that there are certain heart rates that you want to be in on certain days. It's fascinating. I didn't know that either for like the first year or so. But yeah, to answer your question, like I just started out just randomly going out on my own, and then that's where I've always been that type of person. We both have shared this where I'm just being a continual learner. I'm always asking questions. So I did some research online, as you recommended too, with just lifting weights. Like do some Google searching, like look at YouTube channels. Plenty of good fitness people out there on Instagram too. So that's where I started to kind of learn a little bit more and be a little bit strategic with my running. And then I stumbled upon a program by Hal Higdon, I believe is his name. And that's where I kind of then stuck to his plan for a half marathon. And again, I built my way up. And that's where I was recommending, like, hey, if you're willing, because Cole reached out to me a couple weeks back saying, like, hey, I'm thinking about
so hard.
Well, I think you said you wanted to do a triathlon, dude.
You could have just been like, Cole, I believe in you. Maybe start hearing he's like, oh, good luck.
I didn't say that. I think I literally said something like that.
He's like, I'm not your podcast partner anymore. You suck. I'm just kidding.
Definitely did not say that. I said, Cole, I love your attitude.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's going to be a little bit more than you can handle to start.
And you gave me good advice, though, on it.
Yeah, right. But I'm speaking, just from my personal experience. But yeah, I found his program, Hal Higdon. So if anyone wants to Google search him, if you're interested in starting up something, he's someone that I recommend. But there's plenty of other things out there. There's even local programs or running clubs that you can get involved with. That's the other thing, and I'm kind of going off the beaten path here, is I run alone. I've never trained with a training group. Like some people are like, that's crazy. But anyhow, I started again with, I want to run a half marathon. That's my goal. Like, so basically to anyone out there, what are your goals? Maybe it's, I want to run my first 10K, which I believe is like 6.2 miles or so. Or I want to run a 5K, which is 3.1, 3.2 miles or something like that. So what are my goals? What do I want to start with? So for me, it was starting with, and I guess I really, I am skipping over some of the earlier days where, I wanted to just start with my 5K and 10K too. And then I built up. The next milestone was a half marathon. And at first, when I ran my first half marathon, I'm like, okay, this is it. There's no need for me to go prove that I can run 26.2. But then after like just 2 days after finishing, I'm like, well, why not? Like there's more out there for me. And again, that's not for everyone. So that's where I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to do a full marathon. And this was back in 2020. And there's a big marathon here in Cincinnati called the Flying Pig. And that got canceled it got canceled because of COVID. But I still trained. Like I was still like planning on like I was actually going to run it. And I ran one unofficially. And then I called it Marathon Season 2, fast forwarding to 2021, preparing for the Flying Pig here in Cincinnati, and was able to run my first official marathon. And it didn't go as planned. I mean, it's all relative. 3 hours and 51 minutes. I was shooting for 3:15 to 3:30, and I was on track. I think I've shared this with you. Maybe I haven't.
Yeah.
Have I shared this with you? So I had to take 2 bathroom breaks on the back half of the run. I knew. So I woke up that morning and I was not able to go to the bathroom, like number 2.
Okay.
And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is only going to be a matter of time where I have to go to the bathroom.
Problem.
Right. I was able to make it, surprisingly, about 16 miles in. So I had about 10 miles remaining. But around that, 16-mile marker, I was like, oh no, this is not good. Like my stomach hurt. So I ran to a porta potty. And thankfully, they do have porta potties stationed all throughout. But like that was literally on my mind. I'm like, where's the next porta potty? So I was able to go into a porta potty, but false alarm. So I'm like, okay, my stomach still hurts. Like what?
Like you're cramping, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And then I'm like, I got to get out there because like I kept looking down at my watch, and that was probably like 5-minute pit stop. And I was able to make it probably another, I'd say 3/4 of a mile, maybe not that far. And I was able to finally go to the bathroom there. But I would say between that first pit stop and that pit stop, I lost at least 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes.
Which is like critical for your time.
Well, right, exactly. Because if you look at my first 13.1, I was running around a 17 or a 7 mile and 15 second pace or something. So
7 minutes, 15 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I was crushing it. And then obviously at the 16 mile marker, it kind of fell apart. And then miles 20 to 26, I was kind of dehydrated. So I know no one really probably cares about all these details, but I'm very passionate about it. I needed to make sure that I was hydrating myself, and I wasn't properly. Like in the past with all my training, I would have a backpack on.
Okay.
And that's something I'm going to do this time around when I'm actually running the official one.
With the straw,
I do that all the time when I'm actually running and training on my own, but I didn't do that for the race. I thought that I would be fine and I'd be able to, rip those Gatorade shots or whatever the heck they are at the tables. But that was another thing that I learned. But anyhow, to answer your question, 3 hours and 51 minutes, and I wanted to do much better. And one day I'm trying to run a sub 3, which would make me qualify for Boston.
I want to run a sub 7. That's what I don't think I can even crawl across the finish.
No, that's
I don't even
impressive.
remember the last time I walked 26.
Yeah,
That's made my first goal. I'm gonna set a goal for myself right now. I'll run a 10K this summer.
Okay, all right, I love it. I still think you could run. Well, it's getting probably a little bit late, but you could probably do a half marathon.
Let's shoot with a 10K.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Let's shoot for the 10K.
Right.
I mean, that I can definitely do. I think I can definitely do that. But I want to run.
You should just go running with me a couple of times, and I think you reached out about that too.
Yeah,
and
I don't know
kind
about
of shot that down.
Well, I don't know about that because I'm running, dude, a 7-minute mile. Like you say it like it's like dude, you're like 7 to 8 minutes.
Dude, I'm running like 5-minute miles every now and then.
Dude, that's a fast mile.
No, it is. Yeah.
I mean, that's whole and that's not a jog. That's
it's a sprint, but I'm not sustaining that. All right. Well,
I'm saying even a 7 or 8 minute mile is a fast paced jog.
No, it is. It is.
Like you don't see like people you normally see running on the sides of the roads aren't running at a 7 or 8 minute mile pace. They're running at like a 10-minute mile pace.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Hayden's over there like sprinting past. I'm like, flicking them off. Wait. All right. I know. I digress.
I think we wrap things up. This was another awesome episode. As you can tell, we're very passionate about what we're talking about. A lot of what we shared here is more so opinions, but definitely a lot of facts in there as well. Would love to have some fitness experts on, some dietitian folks here in the future. We definitely have been in talks with some people, so we don't only want to just share our opinions or experiences. We do want to bring on some quote-unquote experts or people a little bit more knowledgeable, so not only Cole and I can learn from them, but you can learn from them. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up that we might have some fun and interesting guests on in that area. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, Cole, I'll let you sign off for us.
Thank you guys once again for listening. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We're continuing to get some like amazing feedback. We're just trying to keep it real, create value, share what's going on, get into some detail and some stuff, and again, just connect with you guys as listeners and hopefully provide some some exemplary content for you. You like the use of that word?
I love it.
Yeah, I stumbled over it at first, but we really appreciate you guys once again. So continue to watch, continue to listen, follow, engage, share. Get the word out there that we've got some stuff we think is valuable and can be valuable for a lot of other people. So thank you very much. Signing off. Sayonara.
Peace. Thanks all.